Welcome to the channel. In this episode I'll be going through a rebuild of a 1966 Honda CM91, this one here. It was found at a Barber Vintage Fest swap meet many years ago, and it was kind of a novelty when I first looked at it. As I got closer, they had a sign on it and it was on special that particular day. It was originally set to $50,000. And on that particular day, it was on sale for $50. So I bought it as a joke first. I couldn't say no to that particular advertisement. So, and there's also a little bit of nostalgia involved. I had a 1965 CM90 when I was a kid, and I drove that thing for 2 years. The CM90 had 6.5 horsepower at 7,500 RPM. In '66, when they came up with the CM91, it had 7.5 horsepower at 9,500 RPM. So this is going to be a real rocket compared to the '65. So anyway, I rode that thing for 2 years, and went to school and had my part-time job. It cost me 53 cents a week on gas. So I saved enough money later on to buy a car, but because of this thing. So. When I got this, it was pretty sad looking. The cylinder head was off, but the carburetor was hanging by the intake boot and the throttle cable, and it was rust throughout, so on and so forth. So anyway, I decided to buy it and brought it home, and I wasn't going to do anything with it at first other than hanging on the wall as a piece of art. So, but one thing led to another, and I started looking at it and taking it apart. So I took it apart and I checked the frame, the swing arm, and the forks, and they're all straight. So this thing hadn't seen any real big traumatic events in its life. So that was a good start. So, and my granddaughter decided that she would really like me to build something with a sidecar. So this would be a kind of a fun thing. So. And that's basically where we started. The sidecar never happened because it took me so long. She lost interest in motorcycles. I don't blame her. So anyway, that's about it. These are the steps I went through, and again, it's a slideshow for the most part. And this should be the last one like this. And all the steps, maybe I'll put a little information in between some of the steps to make it a little bit more interesting and a bit more details. So here goes. At this point, I still don't have a running engine. The Chinese knockoff that was donated to me, I can't get it to run for some reason, and I'd have to modify the frame a little bit to make it fit. So I've decided to go look for another engine, and it's been a year at this point anyway, so I'm off to Barber Vintage Fest again. And this time I got lucky, and I found a complete a CT90 engine and a complete cylinder head. So I have something to work with now. So that's what I ended up rebuilding, was the bottom end of the CT90, and I used a cylinder from the CM91 because it was seized and pretty corroded as well. So it's rebuilt and it runs really good, but I decided also that I want to rebuild the original CM91 engine. And that's probably going to have to be in a part 2 to this, because I've got to send out the cylinder to be bored out, and there's a few other things that need to be done to it, so it'll take a little while. But anyway, that'll be in part 2. And then if there's anything else, we'll add some more stuff in there. You'll probably notice that the color I use is not a stock Honda color. It's aquamarine. My granddaughter wanted something with that color, so I picked something that was close to a car color we had bought way back when her mother was just still in high school, and a Chevy Cavalier. So I went to the dealer and got 1992 Chevy Aqua, and that's what we used in this color on this particular bike. And the silver is actually a mix of Harley-Davidson silver and Malibu silver that I just mixed up together, and it came out pretty good. The rims actually look good in silver rather than chrome, so that's a bonus. And that's about it for the color. It's easier to change the color than try to stay close to factory perfect, so that's what happened in this case. Again, it's a budget build, so doing whatever I can with the least amount of investment. At this point, it looked like the bike was finished, and I was riding it, terrorizing the neighborhood on this little thing, up and down the street, wherever. And at one point, the speedometer quit working, so I stopped and had a look at it. I thought I left the nut loose out of the hub, so checked that out, and it was still there, but the cable was torn up, got caught in the wheel. I checked things out, and I thought it was a bad cable. I didn't mount it correctly, but it turned out that the odometer and the speedometer had seized. So I had to, take it apart and whatnot. I couldn't get it to move. The miles little tumbler would go back and forth, but when it came to change to the 10 miles or the 100, then it just wouldn't move at all. Turned out that the grease in there was so old, it had turned to wax, and it had stuck solid to the tiny little shaft, so I had to take it apart completely, free those things up, and re-lube and reassemble. So and put it back together, and it works fine there now. So it's good for another 50 years or more. So that's about it for that. And the horn cover, that's homemade. I just took a piece of aluminum, I think it's 40 thousandths aluminum, and cut and bent it to size, and used some Harbor Freight aluminum welding rod that turned out to work very well, and just polished it up and mounted it to the bike, and that's what I'm using. Anyway, that's it. that's it for now. I hope you like this build. I'm looking forward to riding this bike around town and various car shows and bike shows, so on and so forth. And the 100 miles per gallon plus that this thing should get won't hurt either at the price of gas today. So I'm hoping to have another video up and running for you shortly. It may take a little longer, maybe not. And we'll see what happens on that. I'm not too sure which one I'll be putting up next, but time will tell. So thanks for watching, and hope to see you next time.